Well, hello YouTube, it's me Fortmaster, and welcome back to another Supereyepatchwold reaction. Chainsaw Man is a goddamn masterpiece. So yes, Chainsaw Man. Haven't actually, watched any of it yet. I've seen clips, obviously. I've even heard things about it where people in the story have started to forget parts of World War II because the demons were like the demons or something or other representing those parts were like eaten or destroyed or something, and that just kind of freaks me out more than a little bit. But yeah, I haven't gone out of my way to not watch it. It's more the fact that I just haven't had the time. I know the I'm forgetting her name here. The pink-haired girl with like the orange circle spiral type eyes. Apparently she's crazy and might be the villain from what I've heard, though I might be misremembering or misunderstanding that. I don't know. So, I mean, here we are. We have Supereyepatchwold with an hour-long video on the subject. And yeah, I mean, what a better place to just get a crash course on the subject, eh? So, as I've done with my previous Supereyepatchwold reactions, since this one's going to be over an hour long, I'm going to split it up into two pieces, part A and part B, just to make it easier to watch. But if you want to see the full uncut reaction, you can just find it on my Patreon if you follow me for as little as $1 Canadian. So, with all that out of the way, original video is linked in the description if you haven't seen it yet for some reason. Corner video will be leading to my Let's Play of the day. And with all that out of the way, let's get this thing started then, shall we?
See, I've been doing this channel for 7 years. 7 fucking years. Chainsaw Man is my favorite piece of media to be released in that time. Chainsaw Man is this beautiful, awful story about identity, about purpose, about family, about just fucking being human and the best and worst of what we are. And I think the moment for me that encapsulates all that so wonderfully is this scene where two teenagers kick a man in the dick until he dies.
What?
I will now spend the next hour justifying that statement.
Yeah,
7
please
years
do.
ago, I posted my first YouTube video, and it's interesting looking back now. It's okay. Parts of it are poorly argued or half-formed, and honestly, I don't really remember being the person who wrote it. But I bring it up because it ends with this line.
In casting off the conventions of the shonen genre, Hunter x Hunter manages to rise above it and become something entirely its own. It's my hope that it inspires a new generation to re-examine what the shonen genre is capable of and give the genre a much-needed reason to explore.
Shonen genre, right.
For the next half-decade, I would watch that not happen. That's not to say I didn't find shonen series I enjoyed, I did. But as for something that would make me feel the way Hunter x Hunter felt, I don't know. Maybe I was too old, too cynical. Maybe shonen just wasn't for me anymore, which is fair. I am in my 30s and tired. And then, 2 years ago, Chainsaw Man. Chainsaw Man is that series, although it nearly feels wrong to say that. Chainsaw Man is your typical shonen story in the same way Leatherface is the guy whose skin he's wearing. It's strange and personal and horrifying. It's one of those stories where once you learn a little about its author, it's impossible not to see them in every corner of it. In a lot of ways, Tatsuki Fujimoto, who will be represented in this video by this little cartoon drawing of a heart, is this weird outsider in the shonen industry. As a kid, he wasn't drawn to the traditional shonen worlds of Dragon Ball or Slam Dunk, but instead siphoned inspiration from stranger places, the hyper-violence of Grappler Baki, the sheer bizarreness of Super Radical Gag Family, and from there he developed a deep love of Western cinema and in particular horror, which is why Chainsaw Man's opening references everything from Pulp Fiction to Attack of the Killer Tomatoes.
Just from this little section already, I feel like I might have to start watching this to see what this is all about.
And you can feel those influences in the little contours of his work, from the way a conversation will often take an entire page to talk about nothing, to moments of sheer abject horror, to characters that feel like they walked straight out of Reservoir Dogs, to the multiple female characters who A, love films just as much as Fujimoto does, and B, are stronger and more in control than their male counterparts. Fujimoto being quite open about just enjoying dominant women. Wow, what a strange man. I would not like to be like him. What I'm getting at here is that while Hunter x Hunter defined itself by messing with the shonen template, Fujimoto's work defines itself by barely being shonen at all, but something more personal and raw. And you can see this not just in Fujimoto's various idiosyncrasies, but the very particular way his stories feel carved from these jagged explosions of emotion. For example, Fujino is a young girl who draws gag manga for her school newspaper, an activity she takes a huge amount of pride in. However, her reality is shaken one morning when she opens the paper to find a second artist has also started publishing manga in it, but at a much higher level. Fujino is devastated and pours everything into improving. But no matter how much she draws, how many books she fills her shelf with, she cannot compete with this new artist's raw talents, and she gives up on manga entirely. And if you've ever had one of those ice in the veins moments of crushing inferiority, this moment hits in a very real way. This is Look Back, a 2021 short from Fujimoto, and it's difficult not to see him in it. Not just because he's named the main character practically after himself, but because of his background. See, the reason I refer to Fujimoto as a kind of weird outsider in the manga industry is he's never had any kind of formal training, the closest he's come being an oil painting class he took in college. And unusually, there's currently no record of him ever having worked as an assistant to a more experienced manga creator, meaning he has no training in areas like figure drawing, layout, or paneling. He is entirely self-taught, which is really impressive, but I also think you can see this in his art. While he is absolutely capable of some really stunning imagery, he also struggles under deadlines, his drawings occasionally feeling rushed and incomplete, especially compared with the more polished artists of the industry. And I think this honestly gets to Fujimoto. I mean, just listen to these quotes from different interviews. I won't be able to convey what I want with mediocre drawings, so I need to improve. When I see a good artist, it makes me think that they must be cheating somehow, like they got to redo their life or something, or else it wouldn't be possible to achieve that level of skill. I didn't improve from doing oil painting. I really should have done life drawings. I really regret that I didn't do any. I went to an art class with a lot of old people. There were good artists there, so I decided that if I didn't get better than them in 4 years, I would kill them. Look, he's actually a very sweet man.
Okay. Granted, I mean, you should always be, trying to improve your craft, but at the cost of injuring yourself and or others because of it. I think we can all agree that's kind of a bad thing.
He's just odd. So the reason this moment feels so real is because it is. It's Fujimoto's fears, his pain, his insecurities transformed into a page of manga. But that's not all Look Back is. When Fujino actually meets her rival, she's shocked to discover that her rival is actually a huge fan of hers, and the two begin creating manga together. And from the small panels of pencil scratching paper to a scene of the two pushing through a blizzard to see their first comic published in Jump, it's impossible to read Look Back and feel like it wasn't penned by someone with a deep love of creating manga. Look Back being a story of how valuable that love is, even if it ends in tragedy. This title being a moving tribute to the victims of the KyoAni arson attack and the art they created. Fujino's rival even being named Kyomoto. This is who Fujimoto is. When he's angry, he draws manga. When he needs to clear his head, he draws manga. Every night before bed, he draws manga. He's someone for whom manga isn't just a way to tell a story, but a means to process emotion. And I think it's that gives his work such a raw,
Okay, I want to know the context of that one on the very top right. Oh no.
personal edge. So the question now becomes, what happens when someone like that creates a shonen manga? Well, we actually got an answer to that long before Chainsaw Man in Fujimoto's first serialized manga, Fire Punch, which is a very, very strange series.
I've never heard of that one.
To illustrate this, here is how I imagine the pitching session for Fire Punch went.
Hey, Fujimoto, welcome. So, what do you got for us? Thanks for having me. It's called Fire Punch. Okay, that's a good, strong title. I take it it's about a boy who has fire powers? No. His power is regeneration. Okay, sure, but why is it called Fire Punch? Oh, okay. No, sorry. It's because an evil fascist wizard shot him with a magical flame that just never goes out. Wait, hang on. So he's just on fire.
He's perpetually on fire.
Yeah, like he's just on fire, like all the time. And little pieces of him are constantly burning away, but then growing back because he can regenerate.
Like his arms, his skin.
And I guess that's where the fire punch comes in, because, you know, he's on fire, but punch, and then the fire spreads.
His eyes.
Okay, and I guess he doesn't feel any pain because... Oh, yeah, no, he's in agony all the time. Jesus Christ. Oh, okay, so how does it start? Tell me how it begins. His little sister cutting off his arm with an axe so she can eat it. His little sister is also in love with him.
Much like...
That is the one of, like, the main things that I don't like about anime, is just the prevalence of, like, pseudo-incestuous and relationships in certain things. Like having siblings falling in love with other siblings. It's just... Unless you have a plot point of them, you know, growing out of it or learning that that's not all right. It's very creepy.
Anytime my dyslexic ass is forced to fill out a text form, Fire Punch is a deeply nihilistic story about agony, struggle, and despair. And given how Fujimoto tends to carve manga from his own experience and emotions, I hope he was doing okay when he wrote this. But the thing is, Chainsaw Man is that same level of bleak. Chainsaw Man's world is a cruel, violent place where random atrocities cost people everything in an instant, and the devils that commit those atrocities grow stronger the more we fear them. So the question becomes, if both these series are so bleak, what is the core difference between them? And that's important because to me, it is that difference that makes Chainsaw Man what it is. And where that answer starts is with Denji. Let's think about shonen protagonists for a second. They are good boys who want something. Luffy wants to be king of the pirates. Naruto wants to be Hokage. Ippo wants to be world champion. And Goku wants to be the strongest in the universe. And what does Denji want? Some fucking bread with jam on it. Yeah.
I mean... Right, I hope you didn't hear that. Hopefully the noise cancellation didn't hear the plane. But anyway, I mean, granted, when it comes to having a main character having a want that moves the plot forward, just wanting some bread with jam on it may be simple, but it is very believable. I believe that he wants that bread.
Yeah, When we first meet Denji, he's defined by nearly his complete lack of ambition, to the point that he views things like jammy bread or being able to hug a girl as pipe dreams that could never happen him. But I think this is actually a big part of what's made Chainsaw Man resonate.
Okay, wait. Hugging a girl, I can kind of see that from a certain point of view if you're being really nihilistic and stuff like that. It like, oh, or being like an incel, it's like, oh, I'll never hug a girl. But bread with jam, how poor and destitute was this man that he could not afford a slice of bread with some jam on it?
Or, as Fujimoto puts it, observe the current young generation. They don't seek to have a very big income, they are fine with 350,000 yen. They want to live a simple life day by day. That's why I created Denji, whose ambition is extremely low. And I think this is really interesting. In the mid-80s, when the hyper-ambitious shonen protagonist was popularized by characters like Goku, Japan was experiencing an unprecedented level of economic boom. The idea of a comfortable life promised to anyone who was willing to work hard enough. That ambition and drive echoing not just through characters like Goku, but the majority of shonen protagonists for the next 3 decades. But Denji comes from a different place. Denji is the living embodiment of being a young person cast out into the cold adult world, no safety net, no direction, just you and a society that feels like it does not want you there. This may also be the reason that Denji has resonated so much with the modern millennial Gen Z audience. As the planet dies and wealth gaps stretch ever wider, we watch as the standard of living enjoyed by our parents falls further and further away. The comforts taken as givens by previous generations, such as home ownership and a family, now feeling distant and alien.
Okay, so my previous question about how destitute was this man, that a slice of bread with jam was far out of reach, now makes much more sense. And now I am very sad.
Denji feels like an expression of that. And again, this is all deeply rooted in experience. Fujimoto has talked about how when he left college, he was crammed into a tiny, sweltering $200 apartment with no air conditioning. Having no idea what to do or how to live, he just did what his editor told him to. And not only can you absolutely feel this in the panels of Denji wedged into his little hillside claustrophobic sadness shack, but also in how other people treat him. Early on in Chainsaw Man, Denji is constantly referred to as a dog, as someone who just follows whatever orders he's given without question. He is to other people a resource to be mined, literally, as in order to pay back a debt accrued by his now dead father, the Mafia has taken to both leasing Denji out to kill low-level devils as well as harvesting his organs. The one exception in Denji's life being Pochita, the tiny chainsaw devil and one stream of joy Denji has. Pochita and Denji
so that little chainsaw dog thing is a devil, okay.
Together to carve out whatever happiness they can. Any day that ends with the two sharing a single solitary slice of bread being considered a good one. The two together enduring this simultaneously sweet and brutal existence. But hey, at least things can only get better from here. The Mafia murder Denji and Pochita, cutting them into pieces, sacrificing them to a giant zombie devil before dumping their dismembered corpses in the garbage.
Well, that escalated quickly.
And that's Chainsaw Man, a story about how life is hard, so you shouldn't try. Oh, wait, no, hang on, there's actually loads of pages. Pochita fuses with Denji, becoming his heart, sacrificing his own existence so that Denji can live, but under one condition. Denji must use his newfound powers to pursue his dreams. That contract creating the titular hero, Chainsaw Man. And so,
Chainsaw Face.
Denji is reborn into a new life, straight into the arms of Makima. A really cool and nice person who hires this 16-year-old boy to kill demons on behalf of the government, which is just a very normal thing to do, but also warning Denji that as a devil-human hybrid, he will need to prove himself useful or be put down. That to her, to the government, to everyone, he is a dog who exists only to follow orders. And so Denji is
the
this
dog
person
analogy again.
starting from zero, having lost the only thing in his life that meant anything to him, now with no idea who he is or how to even orientate himself in a wider world beyond just doing what he's told. And we've all been there, right? The horrifying bleakness of a world filled with empty horizons, where the want isn't the problem, it's figuring out what that want should even be. A bleakness Denji comes to understand when he learns fulfillment can not be reached through unlimited quantities of jammy bread and begins his journey of Maslow hierarchy of needsing his way towards more meaningful goals.
God, how does the pyramid go? I remember like food and shelter were like the very bottom of the pyramid. What were the other levels? I'm forgetting now. Yeah, so psychological, breathing, food, water, sex, sleep, homeostasis, and excretion. Okay, that makes sense. Safety, security of body, employment, resources, morality, the family, health, property. Yeah, okay. The next level is love, belonging, friendship, family, sexual intimacy. Okay. Esteem, self-esteem, confidence, achievement, respect of others. That's very important for him. Respect by others, yeah, and self-actualization, morality, creativity, spontaneity, problem solving, lack of prejudice, acceptance of facts. Yep, yeah, this poor man, he needs a whole heck of a lot of this.
The first one of those goals he finds on the floor of a filthy apartment. Denji's new ambition in life being to touch a boob.
Well, small steps. Actually, that is a pretty big step. But, we gotta take one step at a time. Journey of 1,000 miles and all of that.
Yeah. Okay, so I have definitely just lost at least a couple of you, but I promise this goes somewhere meaningful and healthy. But unfortunately, I made a promise to myself a long time ago that I was never going to become one of those men on the internet trying to explain why his boob anime is actually super deep. So you're just gonna have to take my word for it. Anyway, let's look at how Chainsaw Man uses its supporting characters to— No, take that banner down. Take that fucking banner down. No, I don't want to do this. I don't want to do this. Don't cut to a title card. Don't cut to a title.
Oh God, I love this.
Not long after Denji sets off on his titty quest, he's introduced to his new partner, Power, the Blood Devil. A devil in Chainsaw Man's world is a being created from a concept steeped in fear. The more people fear that concept, the stronger the devil associated with it. Power specifically is a fiend, a devil that has taken over the dead body of a human, who now has been captured by the government and, like Denji, must prove her worth as a devil hunter or be eliminated. And so even—
I just got it. The devils are created from fear, fear of blood. Okay, I just got that.
Though Power looks human, she really isn't. Power is like a wild animal trapped in a human body, leashed in a collar and tie, and you can see that in her design. Her clothes constantly ill-fitting and disheveled, like she doesn't really understand how to wear them or what their purpose is. If early Denji is defined by his struggle to understand what he wants, early Power is defined by knowing what she wants and being a fucking asshole about it. And to illustrate this point, here is a little section I like to call the many instances of Power being a goddamn nightmare. Power is
As rude. I can imagine.
Power is a pathological liar. Power alters her own memory to win arguments. Power is asked to eat her vegetables, grows irate. Power is asked to flush the toilet after use, grows irate. Power is asked to take a bath because she is disgusting, grows irate. Power secretly drinks her friend's blood while they sleep. Power will sometimes, for no reason at all, talk in an old English accent. Power is openly racist towards all humans. Power kills a man by accidentally hitting him with a car, immediately lies about it despite still sitting in the car, her hands still on the wheel. Power, halfway through Chainsaw Man, begins to refer to herself as the President. Power's allies are trapped in a horrifying death struggle. Power does not help, but instead decides she wants to win a Nobel Prize. A prize she will then use to become Prime Minister so she can implement a 100% sales tax to watch humanity suffer. Power is the worst.
Granted, she's literally not human, so there might be some weird mental connections going on there that really aren't physically possible for a human being. But I'm trying to find the path of logic in all of these things, and I'm not finding any.
And I love her. The appeal of Power is watching all the most intolerable parts of yourself. The gluttony, the narcissism, the constant craving for human blood, the total lack of any kind of self-awareness or empathy just be inflicted on every other character in the story. And not only is it entertaining to a quite ridiculous degree, it's also a great example of how Fujimoto's wide range of influences has contributed to some of the most compelling parts of his story. The actual inspiration for Power being Eric Cartman from South Park.
Of course. Yeah, you know, thinking about it, that makes a lot of sense. Okay.
Power is that kind of nightmare, and while it should all make her so easy to hate, she isn't. She's maybe the most popular character of Chainsaw Man.
Of course is it, but is that because of her, you know, personality, or is it because of the literal fact that she is a pretty female character in an anime?
And I think that's because, just like Denji, Power has an exception. Nyako is a small starving cat Power meets on one of her naked forest murder rampages, but deciding Nyako is too skinny to eat, Power decides to fatten the cat up before devouring her, which never happens because after raising Nyako back to health, Power falls completely in love with her. And watching her realize this as she and Nyako stares into the night sky, Power absorbing the revelation that there is now a being outside of herself that she cares about, this was the panel where I started to realize, oh god, I think I really love this series. Because it's this moment you realize that Power is just like Denji. Beyond all her bravado and bullshit, she too is this lost little creature trying to figure out what really matters to her. And I fucking love this about how Fujimoto writes characters. No matter how dangerous or insane they are, most of them have this little exception written into their character that humanizes every other part of them. Katana Man's love for his shithead grandfather, the three brothers' unhinged belief in nothing but each other, the fact that Kobani is just really good at Dance Dance Revolution. But my personal favorite example of this is Quan Chi, a Chinese assassin who's initially introduced as if the entirety of humanity came together and held a bare-knuckle fighting tournament, Quan Chi would take first place. Quan Chi is terrifying, possessing a horrifying strength and speed that lets her literally cut through all enemies and transform any conflict she's a part of into this hopeless, violent struggle for survival, flanked at all times by her deadly squadron of fiends, who she also has a bunch of sex with. That's all.
Yep, because with the way this story was going, of course she does.
Very fun, but I just fucking love how much humanity Fujimoto instills in Quan Chi in this one panel, where it's revealed that in exchange for taking on a dangerous mission, all Quan Chi wants is for her little lesbian zombie girlfriends to be granted human rights and a basic education, because she loves them and wants what's best for them. And it's such a small detail, but it transforms everything about how you understand this character and what drives her. Also, just her relationship with Kishiba and their little backstory, and it's so good. And just the picture of her watering her plants, she's so lovely. Just like Power,
Okay.
Quan Chi has this little humanizing exception to her, and it is that quality that leads to Power saying she'll let Denji touch her boob if he gets Nyako back from the giant bat devil. Yeah,
Okay.
I forgot we were talking about that too.
Yeah, we needed to come back to that point as well. Yeah, right.
Denji.
And that is it for this part. If you want to continue watching this reaction, the link to the second part is on screen now. If you want to see the full uncut version of this reaction, you can find the link to that on my Patreon. I hope you guys liked. If you did, leave a like, subscribe if you have not, and I'll see you guys next time. Goodbye.